This is Charlie giving you Friday's market commentary and live trading, hopefully. Just looking at Aussie dollar here, we've got positive momentum on the hourly time frame, and I'm looking for it to just come down to the lower band here with this consolidation, and hopefully that's going to be it. I'm going to have a fairly tight stop on it, so it won't be a big stop out if it does, because we have got a bit of a trend line going on here, if we can see. And if it wants to do a trend line break, it could have a bigger move. But because we've got some decently thick positive momentum on the hourly time frame, we've got the hourly 50 as a target, which I'll show you in a second. I think I'm going to have to get the tickets in. So I've got the ticket ready, and let's see if we can start getting some in. I'm not too fussed about price at the moment. Really, we're thereabouts. So if we can come down to the lower band, great. I've got one order in. I'll bring the account over in a minute, and just want to get a couple in. Just while it's playing around there. Hourly chart, looking to see if we can get up to the hourly 50 basically here, with the momentum being the way it is. It's fairly just solid, and the momentum today, it's not rapidly accelerating type of momentum. It's a different type or style of momentum where it's just fairly solid, and so I'm just looking at with that in the background. Hopefully we don't have a flush down and then come back up. So if we don't, then that's great. But so I'll just have my stop somewhere down here, fairly tight, and I'll either get stopped out very quickly, but or it'll work out. So we'll see. So let's see if we can get another couple in a minute as we come back down to the lower band. Hopefully we do. So this is a different. What I'm looking at is just for us to consolidate within this back range, and so it's a different sort of thing because we've got obviously on the 5-minute chart we've got the 8 below the 21, and so that would normally warrant a sell, but I'm looking at the bigger time frames to say actually this looks like, I'm hoping that this is just, we've had the pullback here, come back into the band, then just going to consolidate in the band and then gradually start to ease our way up. So that's the way I'm looking at this. So let's see if we can. It's 8:45 this morning. I've done a couple of recordings this morning trying to, but I've been blabbering away on them for like 7-8 minutes and without taking a single trade, and thinking, well, I might as well, here we go, get another one in there, and let's see if we can get another one. Let's get the 4th one in. That's 4. We're at 23. I think we can put 5 in actually today. It's only because we're only putting 100,000 clips in, and the stop's going to be pretty tight, like I said. So we'll put in. Let's get our 6th one in. So that's 6 units, but usually I put 4 units in of 150 clips, don't I? So it's the same position size. So let's get rid of that and bring the account over as always. You can see the positions I've just put in, and so now it's just a case of getting the stops put in place. So I'll just do that just whilst we're waiting to see. Where should I put my stop? I think I'll just put it down at I don't know, around about 10. So giving it about a 13 to 14 pip stop. So I will lose about £600 on this trade if it does come down and I'm wrong and I get stopped out. So about £600 loss. So that's what I'm willing to risk today on this trade, and we'll see what's going to happen. So, but while I'll do that and I'll come back and talk. So anyway, where was I? I've already forgotten. But yeah, the other markets, the pound is a bit sloppy this morning. They're all a little bit on the sloppy side. The pound had a bit more conflict, but at least we've got this positive momentum on the hourly charts here with the Aussie, and just the possibility that it's going to want to go up and just meander its way up towards that hourly 50. So we're just going to have to see if this one's going to work out. I always play with, as you know, where the momentum is. That gives me such a good idea, and obviously I can't always be 100% correct. Because the momentum can switch, but if I look at them, and sometimes it could just be that my stop's in the wrong place and price could nip down, take me out, and then still ultimately come back up for that hourly 50. But I've taken the decision to put in a full-size position here for the Friday update with, like I said, about 13, 14 point average stop, and so for that reason, I've got the stop where it is, and I'm wanting this to hold really onto these bands, because if we come back down to, I'm giving it a little bit of slack down to 10, but I think that's more than enough. So what else is there? The dollar yen this morning, like I said, I've done a couple of recordings, but I was just blabbering away, giving commentary and looking at things, and then nothing was happening, or I missed a trade on. I'd say I missed a trade. The dollar yen just went without me, should I say? It popped up. I was looking for a bit of a pullback and to get long, but it popped up, and so I missed out on that. Couldn't get in on that, and so now, and then the pound, and as you can see, they've both rolled over. So I'm really looking at this Aussie it's got the better positive momentum on the hourly charts, just to see if this one's going to play out and then gradually meander its way up. So we shall see. I shall press pause for now. I'm going to finish off getting ready, and then and I'll come back to this. Okay, so it's come up a little bit, so I'm actually going to move my stops up to 92.15 now. So I'm just getting those all in. 92.150. So they're fairly tight now, and when the market's quiet, you never know if it's just going to nip down and take out stops and the likes. But anyway, so I'm just getting the last one in, and I've got to change I've still got to change these around. 92.15. So sometimes you think, oh, are you playing it a bit tight? And yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can be, but really, for what the price action's done now, it's put in this pullback low, so it doesn't need to come down and do another low. So that's how I look at it and say, well, in reality, then it should just want to, if it's going to go higher, just trickle its way higher anyway. It doesn't need to come down and make another one. So we'll see. So I've got the stops in place. Let's have a look here. So obviously up in the position at the moment from the entries, and that's why I've decided, okay, we'll move the stops up. But I don't like it if it feels like a low volume market. I don't like putting, and even though this isn't exactly a big position, but it's big enough to see the orders there. So what I'm going to do for now, I might just leave them staggered and just have the first three, these three positions still at 92.10 and these three at 92.15, rather than it showing up a load of positions there at 92.15. Something fun enough. So I might just leave it at that for now. And mind you, if it starts coming down, then I'll just put them in, or manually close out see if it comes down. But I have got to just pop over to the shops, so we'll see. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put a limit order in, wasn't I? Yeah, I was going to do something. So we've got that 5-minute 21, the blue line up there at 35. So I was going to put just 2 limit orders in at 35. 92.350. So at least we've got the trade paid for then. Okay, so we'll see there, but obviously looks like it's got a lot of work to do yet, and if it's going to get up higher, and if I'm right on this one. So we'll just have to see. So I'm going to pop over to the shops. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Well, I'm just back, and it looks like it didn't hit my level at 35, but it looks like it might come up for it now. We're going to see this ding any second if it gets up to 35. But it already hit that 21, but we'll just see if it can get up to that 35 now. You can see I've got my limit orders in. It's got close, but not quite the cigar yet. So actually, because I've been out, I would have actually manually exited there, so I should actually just do that now. So let's just manually exit if I can get this done in time. There we go. I think it will probably come out anyway, but now let's take these both out, so at least we've got those in now, because that's where we would have got out anyway. So God, did it get close to my stops though? As you can see, my stops at 15. You can see it came dip down here, and actually I walked out of the door going over to the shops, and I thought, oh, this is bound to looks like it's when this is candles red and it's that close to your stop, you think, yeah, it's going to come down and get you, but obviously it didn't. And that's where it always makes me laugh, because people get paranoid and say, oh, the market's out to get me. And the markets aren't out to get you. Well, they are, but they're not necessarily always going to come down and, oh, it just came down. They knew where my stop was, and and as you can see, if they knew my stops were there, why didn't it come and take them? Anyway, so it's come up now anyway. There we go. So so far so good. So my stops, I'm going to move the stop to 16 now, so it's actually at that low, because now it's come down to that low. We might as well do that, and now it's just a case of seeing if we can get up here. I think the next target's going to be this 500 EMA, this red line that you can just see at the top of my chart here, and then it's just a case of whether it's going to be able to creep its way up to there, and if it gets up to there, then it could be a half decent trade here this morning. So and it all comes back down to the momentum again. But I must admit, with the and sorry, certainly it's not over yet. It's got a bit of work to do yet. It's just chopping on. If we look at the hourly chart, we'll see that it's chopping a bit. But with the trend line, looks like, let's actually put a trend line on. Move that out of the way. Where was it? Yeah, it's been, as you can see, I mean, it's still chopping around there at the moment. I mean, it's not too steep, so it can just come off of there, but the possibility is that it just comes down for a break. But let's take that off. I don't want to remind the market that there's a trend line there. But we'll move the stop up, and I think that it'll be a minimal loss or a smallish loss now if it does come down and stop me out. So I'll just move those stops up a pip. So I'm just gaining an extra pip on the loss should we come down. But oops, just done that one, haven't I? The stop, and then we're just going to see if or how this is going to go. But it looks like at the moment that yeah, that's up at let's call it 55 at the moment, the 500 there. That's if we start going up. We've got the hourly 50 up at 92.92 currently. So what I would do is I'd take some off up here and then just leave one remaining if indeed it can go. But again, it's just based on the momentum this morning. It was a different way of applying the momentum, but because we had the solid momentum, like I said earlier, then on the hourly charts, then I look at these sort of things as just a pullback, and that it's going to want to do that retest of that hourly 50 ultimately. So we're just going to see how we get on there. I'll press pause for now. Right, well, time's getting on. It's we've had an 8 and 21 cross. We've come down to these bands here, just doing a little bounce at the moment off the bands. So so still in the 30s here. I've put some limit orders in. So let's go and have a look at these now. Yeah, and I need to move these stops up. I'd move the stop up to 18, but it's still way too low. I think I can afford to move it up to the early 20s now, because if it rolls over again, then you know, I don't know, it doesn't need to roll over again. So I'll move it up to about 22, something like that, so that I'm protecting the trade as much as I can. We're still giving it some slack. So let's just do that on these orders here. So as you can see, we've got the stops at 18, so let's move them up. I mean, the nice thing with this trade is that, all right, if I get stopped out now, it'll probably be about break even. I haven't calculated exactly, but if it runs, then it could be a really nice run, a really nice trade from a risk reward perspective, from the initial risk. So, oh yeah, so I've put some limit orders in. I've put a couple in at 50, as you can see there, and here 2 in at 50 and 1 at 70 and 73. So let's go and have a look. So obviously I've put that one at 50 roughly. I'm going to have to go down the gym because I can't wait any longer. It's moving too slow. So I'm having to guesstimate where this 500 MA is going to come in, and I suspect that will come down lower than my target, a bit like earlier on, if it takes so long. So I'm having to. So it may get, my target may be at 50, but that by the time price gets up to the 500, if it does go up, that 500 may be at 45, and I may miss out. But I'm not going to sit here waiting for it all day. Ultimately, I still have that ultimate hourly target, and like I said, the hourly 150 is up at 92.92. So I've put orders in at 70s and 73, just ahead of the hourly, because again, that hourly is coming down on top of price, towards price, should I say. So I'm having to guesstimate as I'm not going to be here. But certainly at the moment, look, if we put it into perspective, we're in essentially a sideways range on the hourly charts, and which obviously it needs to try and break out of, and hopefully it can start to punch up. But I'm going to pop out and just leave this and see how it gets on. And so it's what, 9:56 now, and we'll see if it can have a run. Great. If it pulls back now, then I'd suspect what are my entries? Let's have a look. I'll move it across a little bit more. My entries are at 25, 24.7, 24.7, 24.7. I've put my stops at 22, which means I'll get stopped out at 21, so I'll be losing about 4 pips and 3s, so 3 or 4s. So I suspect, but then obviously it took a little bit. What did we get on these? All right, 9 pips and 9 pips again. So yeah, it'll be about break even now, so that's okay, isn't it? So we'll leave that all where it is, and we'll see how this gets on. It's going to be the only trade of the day. Okay, just back from the gym. As you can see, we're still. As you can see, it's run up to 92.50. That 500 period moving average was coming down, and so got lucky by looks of things while I've been out that it did actually get up to the 50 zone, as the 500 had been coming down. It's got a bit of a steep trend line here. It could want to go for a breakdown. It seems to have just run out of a little bit of oomph, but I think that ultimately I think ultimately it is going to get to that hourly 50. Let's remind ourselves where that is. Where is it now? It's coming down a bit. It's actually looking off screen at 80 now, 92.80. But there's no point in me doing much more with it. I've just moved the stop up to, well, I probably need to move it a bit more. I've got the stop moved to 26 now. So whatever happens, I'll make 160, 260, about 360. Is that right? Yeah, 360 quid or so, whatever it's going to be. 300, a bit more, just under 400 anyway. So it's really now just a case of it's that whole argument of delayed gratification now, and whether I can move my stop up, so I'll move it up maybe another couple of points. I still want to give it some slack, but it's a case of delayed gratification and whether I'm going to get that bigger run or not, or whether it's going to come for a larger retrace, stop me out. I could move it up just maybe a couple of pips, I think. And of course I could lock it all in and bring the stop right up, but on this occasion it's just one of those slow burners where it could just carry on, consolidate for another hour or so, sort of sideways, and then blip up. So I want to try and give it the opportunity at least. So that's what I'm going to do, and just see if we can get that final push. So that's where we are at the moment. It is 8 minutes past 11, and so I think this video is maybe out a little bit later today. By the time this finally sorts itself out, it could take until this afternoon to happen, so we'll have to see. So I'll come back and look at this in a bit. Okay, right, so it did pull back. I said it looked like it was just running out of gas a little bit. I think it's probably at some point still going to want to try and go up for that hourly 50, but I'm not, as it's run out of gas now. The momentum's just waned and gone negative on some of the time frames. It's now time to well, it was time to exit. My exit was there at 28. So have a look at these then. So we still ended up not too bad. So what's that? Just under $700 for the day. You know, it's one of those ones. Sometimes when you go, I mean, I was up £700, so about £1,000, wasn't I, at one point when we were watching this earlier. But that's the thing. When you're going for the bigger moves, you can't always have them. And so, you know, decent enough. So we got the exits. Let's go through the exits here. So it was the open and closes. So these were the last two exits at 28. I had 50. Oh, I took one off at 42, not 50, because I had two limit orders at 50. These were the first two limit orders, exits, weren't they? And then what I did, if I move this a little bit, is when we came up into this zone, right here, I noticed, then we had this red bar here, and it'd been up to 47 or so this before, and then it came up later for 50. And I noticed that there was a lot of resistance at that exact same level here, and this zone here, and I thought, oh, and it was just hit a pivot, a mid pivot as well. So I took one off just to get it banked and see that one in. But so yeah, not bad. Would have been, I would have loved to have had a nice $1,500 trade today on that one. But if it could have just consolidated and then gone again. But you know, that's it. Yes, what trading brings you. You just you go with your trade management, and then sometimes they'll work out beautifully, and other times they'll just pay you, but not quite as much. But not a bad Friday morning. I can't do any commentary now. It's already 18 minutes in. Have a fabulous weekend, and I'll be back on Monday for some actual market commentary.